Welcome to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, presented by Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Owen Hayes. You're watching Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS, presented to you by none other than Fisherman's Marine and Outdoor. Today is the 28th of January, and as a extremely psychotic waterfowl hunter, we like to call this Black Sunday. It's over. Today's the last day of duck season in Oregon. I have no idea about Washington, so forgive me for that. But it's the last day of the season, and I'm not going to drag everybody down. But yeah, it's a transition. We may talk a little bit about that later on in the show. It's a culture shock for me right now. But we got a great show lined up. We're going to check in with good friend Brandon Glass from Team Hookup Guide Service. We're going to talk about nothing but steelhead. Okay? Now, right now, the rivers are a little wonky, but they're about to change, right? There are some very good opportunities up and down the coast, up north, down south, in the valley. I mean, there's opportunities when these rivers kind of come around, and you need to pay attention to some of those rivers all over the place. Some of them do drop and clear and become much more fishable than some of the other rivers that might even be in the same drainage. So it's important to kind of keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on around here real time. And of course, being the only real-time fishing and hunting live television show ever, we're your best source. So we're going to make sure that you have that. Like always, though, we're going to have river levels. We'll line you out on exactly what they're forecasting. I will admit, though, since yesterday, they did change that forecast already. Looks like things might be changing a little bit quicker than we may have thought. But again, we'll take a look at that this upcoming segment. Of course, we're going to check in and find out what the weather is really going to do this morning. For crying out loud, on my way in on my Silverado, it was 55 degrees. Well, I mean, what a change in just a short period of time, which can contribute to put more water in a lot of different rivers. So, again, topic that we will cover when we have Brandon on in just a little bit. Another couple things that popped up since yesterday. I had shown some photos that I had a little bit of success chasing some steelhead around, and I mentioned quickly that I couldn't exactly say what it was. But that kind of sparked a little bit of a thing. One, people didn't like the fact that I didn't say exactly what I was fishing with or how I was fishing. But it also got the question of how do you do that correctly? Something, because I did mention quickly that it was a much larger, and I think a lot of people kind of caught on to that. So we're going to have a chance to go over that as well. So a little bit of an additional tech tip. Much like yesterday with our Chevy Silverado Tech Tip of the Week. We might have that opportunity later on the show. It is built for that, but we did set it up to take your phone calls. It's the viewer hotline. It's 503-548-677 somewhere. 67. He's like, hold on, I'll get it. I got to hit the button. Anyway, he'll show it to you in a second. It's 503-548-6777. Questions, comments, reports, we want to hear from you. Today being a very, again, wonky day on the rivers, I wouldn't assume that there's too many people out. So don't be shy. Call us up. We'd love to hear from you. Maybe you can help someone else become more successful out there or contribute something that we can add here on the show. Also, once we get to that point, I actually had a question about scent, different scents for steelhead. We've talked about this a lot over the years, and again, I don't know. This is what you'd look like when you go over to Fisherman's. But we'll talk about those different scents, again, that I would recommend for steelhead. Understanding, of course, steelhead are not necessarily scent-oriented. Doesn't hurt, but it is something to consider. So we'll make sure to cover that. Also, if you had a chance to send some photos in here in the last week or two, although, Ryan, how long does it generally take? Like if somebody does send in a photo, like we always do, we show your photos at the beginning of each show. How long does it generally take for that show to actually, or that photo to actually make it in on the air? Is there about a week or so? Okay, so if you send some photos in a week or so, we get a ton of them. So that's why you got to kind of forgive us a little bit. It takes a week or two for them to actually show up here on the air, but we're going to show you exactly how to send those photos in. Matter of fact, we're ahead of schedule already. Nobody's on hold. It's amazing. This is so funny. Every day that we are unable to get the phone calls, we got them hanging. But every day that we have it set up for it, we don't. It's kind of funny how that works out. But anyway, let's show you some of the photos that you've all been sending in. And then, of course, we'll show you how you can do so. Very simple. Although I say that, I tried once and I figured it out, but I haven't tried since. Grandpa Larry, thanks for sending this in. Camden's catch. Looks like some trout there. Yep, looks like some trout. Maybe some kokanee. I can't see the sides of them. But at the very least, great photo. I mean, again, those are just those photos you'll always have around and always remember. And we're getting into that time here, coming up here. Whoa! Brian. All I'm doing right now, everyone, is I'm trying to pick apart the trees and see. Yep, I got nothing. Maybe. All green. Brian, thanks for sending this in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3. Looks like a 3-man of green. Wow. I'm telling you right now, everyone, you got to be motivated to do that because you're letting all kinds of stuff go. You're letting all kinds of different birds go to make that happen. It's got to be a good. Oh, look at this. East Side mallards. I'm sorry. This year I was unable to put that hunt together. I had the opportunity to head over there, and of course, when that happened, when that opportunity presented itself, there was no way I was heading east because the hunting here was too good, and the drive would have been way too treacherous. But high desert mallards, there is a widgeon in there. Mark, thanks for sending it in. It's just a beautiful part of the world to chase birds. It's just, it's amazing. Great photo. Shotgun elk. Now, this is something interesting. Looks like a young spike, by the way, deliciousness. Melissa, thanks for sending this in. That's an interesting way to, it's a scope. It's intended for that, of course. Shotgun elk, very cool. Not very many people can say that. Steelhead limit. I want to make sure I say this right because I'm terrible. Rosalio. I think I got that right. I think. Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong so I don't get in trouble. Great set of hatchery fish, and that's why we all love hatcheries. That's why we have to have hatcheries here in the Northwest. Although somebody's got to tell him the story behind that hat he's wearing, but I'm not going to get into that now. But hey, great photo. And another one. We're going to start seeing some of these plunking right now. I know that I've mentioned that the rivers are a little wonky, right? Well, they've turned over. If you're like me and you like to chase steelhead and salmon with a rod and a rod holder, it can be extremely effective and a lot of fun, especially when the conditions are like they are. Steve, thanks for sending it in. Great photo. I love the snow in the background. And again, everyone, pretty simple. Not hard to do. We try to make it as easy as possible so we can get as many photos in and show you off like we try to do. We'll get there. Oh. Wow. I mean, dang. If my buddy Moose was out there, he'd be like, yeah, I got one of those. Wyoming bow hunt. Steve, what a dandy. Look at the mass. Wow. Stick and string elk. I don't care what state you're in, although Wyoming obviously has better opportunities than we do here in Oregon, but we won't get into that either. But at the very, very least, dang. That like literally I had to throw an anchor out when I saw that. Here's how you do it. It's a Fox 12 app. Download it, find out their GPS when you do so you can scroll down. It'll show you exactly where to upload your photos and video. I want to see some video, please. I see people constantly out there with little boxes on their head, on their chest, whatever it might be. I mean, literally, number one, focus on what you're doing, okay? But number two, because y'all know what I'm talking about. Number two, send some of those videos in. You don't have to show us exactly where you are. Tell us, I mean, unless you want to. But we'd love to see some videos, so don't be shy. All right, this upcoming segment, we've got a phone call coming in from Mark in Milwaukee, which should be a very good one. I just made mention of a different way to go after some steelhead. This might be one that you want to pay attention to. And when we come back, we're going to have a quick rundown. Also, we're going to check in with Katie, find out what the weather's really going to be like. And then in a little bit, we're going to have Brandon Glass from Team Hookup Guide Service. Don't go anywhere. We got a lot of outdoor GPS for you.